Hello everyone, it is Mason the Brock Henderson here, and welcome to my review of Bones Season 11, Episodes 1 through 3. This is going to be a very difficult one for me to talk about because Bones used to be one of my favorite shows of all time. I started binge watching it, and it found it hard to stop. Uh, it was just, it was interesting, and it's very funny how many comparisons I can draw to Criminal Minds in that Criminal Minds and Bones both had kind of a shock value almost. In Criminal Minds, it was serial killers and the shocking things that they do. And watching every episode every week, it's like, man, I can't believe they would do that. And that was part of the show, is watching all of these different psych like psych psychopaths, sociopaths, and how crazy they are. And some of this is based in reality too, and based off of real cases. And that was kind of the shock of it. Bones was the same way in that it was very much kind of gruesome because that's what they were playing to at the beginning because it's all about bones, and if it wasn't a skeleton, it it wasn't found. Where in most shows where crime shows where the dead body is just a body. It's just the person that got shot or something. Bones was something really bad happened to them, and all that's left is a skeleton. So there was kind of a shock value, and that was part of why the show was so interesting at first. They also had several other storylines that were interesting. You had Booth and Bones, the FBI agent, and the Jeffersonian anthropolog. I don't know. I'm gonna stop trying. But they were kind of setting up for them to have a relationship, and then that finally happened. Then they had a kid, and then they had another kid, and now it's just like, what more can they do? Uh, then they had another relationship, Angela and Hodgins, that was on, and then she went through. She dated a girl, she dated another guy, and then finally they got back together, and then they got married, and then it was very interesting whenever Palant, the serial killer that was on for quite a few seasons actually, he had like a drone that was heading towards some sort of military base. It was going to go, and there's my dog, by the way. But it was going to go towards some sort of military operation over in the Middle East, and it was going to pretty much ignite like a war between the U.S. and uh, maybe Iraq. Can't remember which Middle Eastern country was in, but basically it was going to go to this village and kind of like blow it up and kill several innocents in the explosion. And the only way for them to hack the drone and stop it was that they had to keep Hodgins' massive bank account frozen or unfrozen, because if they froze it, they couldn't hack the drone. But if they didn't freeze it, it was slowly draining all his billions of dollars out of his account. And so that was an interesting turn, and they kind of had to live in poverty for a bit. And Hodgins discovered this new like unbreakable thing that they could put their glass beakers in to keep it from breaking. So that storyline got interesting, and then they got their money back, and now there's nothing interesting anymore. So last season, I'm not gonna say it was terrible. It still had some good episodes where I was actually interested in watching, and the case genuinely got me interested. But overall, definitely one of the weaker seasons, which again, just like Criminal Minds, their 10th season wasn't all that good. Um, and only had like a couple cases that got me really interested. So going into season 11, they really had a good setup to end the show. They finally had one last Palant thing where he had like I guess an apprentice almost, and she was going after the money that Palant had taken from Hodgins, and it was like, where did all that money go? It's like billions of dollars never found. And so that was the whole thing, is that I can't remember why she killed somebody the same way Plant did, or she just did it for them to reopen the case or something, or try to find out where the money. I don't remember the exact details of it, but Angela and Hodgins were talking about going to Paris, and Booth and Brennan were talking about, kind of retiring and just living their lives as a normal family with 2 kids. And that's kind of how it ended. They solved the case. Booth stepped down from his job. Brennan stepped down from her job. Angela and Hodgins ended up staying at the Jeffersonian, which kind of made sense because they didn't really have, I guess, the time or money to go to Paris. And that's how that season ended. And it generally seemed like a good ending for the show. Then, hear that there's a season 11 coming. Okay, what are they going to do? Started off very well, in my opinion. First 2 episodes, really good. Not the best of the best, but I really enjoyed them. Booth had gone missing. He said he was helping out trainees at the FBI Academy or something, and that was his job at the moment. So no field work at all, which makes sense. They're trying want to get away from that, but you can't not work because you don't have that kind of money. So he goes to help there, and he disappears one morning, kind of with that. You have the foreshadowing look. It's like he looks back like this is the last time he's ever going to see them. They find a body burnt in a van, and this is without Brennan there, so it's kind of interesting to see that dynamic of there's no Brennan, and the Jeffersonians still trying to do their job and help the FBI solve cases. And of course, Aubrey is kind of taking over. By the way, probably one of the highlights of last season was bringing Aubrey in, even though Sweets got killed, which still hit me close to home. Because he really is a really good addition to the team. Like I've really grown to like him, and it's only been one season that he's been in, and he's really good. I'm glad they found. I don't even know the name of the actor, but I'm glad they got him in because he really does play that kind of. He can be an FBI agent, like a hard FBI agent when he needs to, but he's also got the sense of humor that the show needs. Because sometimes they stray too far away from that, or they go like too silly with the humor, and he's right in the middle of silly and serious. So I like his character. But anyway, so they find this body, they find a gun on him. Turns out it's Booth's gun, and everything they're slowly building up. But it's Booth. It's Booth. He's dead. Like this is Booth. He's got the same fractures. He's got the same. The face looks similar. And of course, it's not Booth. They're not gonna. If they kill him off, it'll be the very last episode of the last season. Like they would not kill Booth off and have an entire season of no Booth. If they did, that would be a very bold choice, and I'd be very interested to see where they go with that. But because it's Bones, he's not dead. So, slowly figuring all this stuff out, and then eventually, like, Brennan finds one thing that's off from what Booth should have, and like a broken bone or a remodeled fracture that he should have that's not on this body. Come to find out, it's Booth's brother, which was kind of interesting seeing that we hadn't really seen his brother in so long. I really feel like they should have done more with him because really losing him this way just is like, oh, he's dead now. Like, you really didn't feel it because last time you saw Booth's brother was like a couple seasons ago, I think. I barely remember him in the show. So that was a little disappointing that they didn't bring him in last season at all, I don't think. If they did, it's been so long, I don't remember. So it really wasn't as impactful finding out it was his brother. It was just kind of like, oh, Booth's going to be down about that. Come to find out that Booth is helping these people kind of, I can't remember exactly what they were looking for. It was like a list of FBI agents gone bad, and this internal affairs lady came in, and her partner was kind of like the one behind it. Um, and he had no choice. They sent him his fiance's like finger in a bag, so he was threatened into doing it by somebody. Um, but Booth is with this little group. One's like a former military buddy of his brother that they had gone to visit, and in his basement is the rest of the team that's doing all this, robbing of a like some sort of crime lord, I guess. That some of this stuff was really rushed through, so it was like it didn't really stick in there. But they robbed him of like $2 million for, I guess, to get the list. Um, but yeah, apart from that, it really felt like Booth was involved. He got shot in this thing. His brother got killed. He torched the van with his brother still in it, um, to cover up the body. And it was kind of just like it felt like they were setting up for Booth's not going to get away scot clean for this. Like he has a part in this, um, whether they like it or not. But in the end, they find Booth. They rescue him. They keep him from bleeding out. He had to cauterize his wound at one point, and just they save him, and that's it. Like they found out one of the guys that was working with this the internal affairs agent, her partner, one of the guys that was working for him or with him or something. He was the one that was blackmailing him and wanted to get the list of the uh, evil FBI agents, and that was it. Like nothing happened. There's no repercussions for Booth's choices. He did it all for his brother, obviously, but no consequences. He's not in jail. He was in the hospital for a bit because of the bullet wound, and that was it. Uh, no, Nothing else about that FBI agent list. Nothing else about the money. Nothing else about the guys that were with Booth and his brother. So the way it ended was just kind of like, really, like that's how I felt last season too. Whenever they were doing the whole conspiracy within the government, it just ended like that. They found out the guy behind it. It's like it's over now, and then they had Sweets' funeral, and that was it. And I was like, really? You could have done so much more with that and drawn it out and made a good season from it. But no, they stopped it there, and that yeah. Third episode. I'm gonna try to be positive about this one. But let's just say that I was able to guess everything that was going to happen from the first 5 minutes. And it really disappoints me because Bones has really gotten into this formula. They have individual personal storylines. Booth is looking for his brother's ashes. Angela is like she kind of wants to do an art show, but at the same time she doesn't, so Hodgins sets it up for her. And then the case, just another case, and basically the case was this guy was found in the water and he'd had a transplant, and they visit this guy that he was working with, and right from the very beginning, because it's become such a cliche in the show, I kind of said it jokingly, hoping that I was wrong. But I was like, alright, that guy did it, and it was a total accident. Because he was talking so highly of the guy. He's like, what are you talking about? Like, I loved him as a friend. He was my mentor. Why would I ever do anything to hurt him? And it was just like, he did it. It was an accident. Sure enough, they go through this whole thing talking about, oh, you transplanted, he took his organs. And this lady, who Chief Vic from Psych. I love seeing actors and actresses that were in some of my other favorite shows. Uh, but she was like doing this whole transplant thing. It's kind of like sketchy, doing it for people who didn't really have the money for it. And come to find out, it had nothing to do with the transplant thing at all. Shocker. But they do find out that somebody did bring his dead body to her, and so she was responsible for taking his organs and donating them and hiding his body, I think, or something. I can't remember if she hid the body or if the guy hid the body. But anyway, come to find out, it was this assistant that did it, and it was an accident. Like, they were fighting one day, and it happens so much. Like, too many accidents on the show. One of the episodes I remember the most because it kind of went against the typical Bone script. There was this guy talking about, I can't remember what the guy had gotten killed in, but his tie had got caught in something, and it was like dragging him in, and eventually, like, the guy had said it was an accident, like he pushed him into it, the tie got caught and it killed him. And Bones kind of steps up and she's like, no, it wasn't an accident, and showed how the guy had like held him down as it killed him or something. Like, I can't remember exactly how it was, but I remember it because the guy was like, it was all an accident, like I just pushed him in. And I heard it so much I was like, God, this again? And then they turn it on its head. It's like, no, based on the Bones whatever, you killed him, you murdered him, it was no accident. I was like, see, that's memorable. When they do a twist like that, that's memorable. But they haven't done that since. It's all been, I did it in a fit of rage. I pushed him and he fell on a rock. I don't know what I was doing. I grabbed the bat before I could think and just hit him, and I didn't think he was dead. It's the same old stuff. And then going on to the personal stories, Booth's looking for his brother's ashes. He can't find them. The funeral home said they sent him the box. And just the whole episode is about him kind of freaking out about it. Brendan's trying to say this is more about you're losing your brother and not being able to mourn him. And they do the whole typical cliche. He yells at her about it because he's frustrated. And at the end of the episode, one, he finds his brother ashes. Two, he realizes that it was all a mistake. He was just upset about, he realizes Brendan was right, and he apologizes, and he realizes it wasn't all about his brother's ashes, and he's okay now. And like, cliche. On to Angela's story. Hodgins sets up like an art exhibit thing because, he kind of wants to surprise her a bit. I can't remember exactly his reasoning. It had something to do with they wanted to go to Paris, but they didn't. Maybe. But anyway, so he sets up this thing, and she's upset about it because she doesn't want to do it because nobody's going to like her art. And instantly, eventually she's going to be okay with it. They're going to go to it. There's not going to be a lot of people there. But then there's going to, like, she sees the name on the register. It's like, which one of you guys did this? This is an actual artist. The actual artist is there. It's the homeless-looking guy that, you didn't think could possibly be an artist. But it turns out he's an actual artist, and he likes her work, and he's paying her a lot of money for it. Just another cliche. And it's frustrating, and even looking for previews for tonight's episode, it looks, kind of like they have no respect at all. It's looking like another kind of silly episode, something to do with sports, and I don't know. I'm really disappointed, mainly because when you like a show so much, and then they just kind of slip into the same old cliches, and every week becomes kind of a chore watching it. I remember last season, especially for Bones and Criminal Minds, there were a couple episodes where I kind of just wanted to fast forward some moments. Because I'm like, this feels like it has nothing to do with the episode at all. And sure enough, at the end, I could have fast forwarded through it because it had nothing to do with the episode at all. She's trying to cheer me up, I guess. But anyway, so I'm hoping maybe Bones will step it up a bit. Maybe they'll get out of their cliche story. Maybe tonight's episode will be one of the best. Some shocking twist ending that makes me go, oh, what? Um, but for now, it's just come back. I miss the old Bones. I miss it so much. So we'll see. But until then, about to do the Blacklist review for tonight. So say goodbye to my puppies. Alright, see you guys in the next review.